Welcome to Bellinger Nature Films. Today we're going to take a journey from the heart of green here in the very middle of Coffs Harbour down the creek trail, and we're going to go to the Jetty Parklands, and we're going to celebrate the incredible natural values of our parklands with incredible rainforests and dune systems and a host of amazing creatures that live right amongst our Jetty Parklands. And we want to see our Jetty Parklands protected for people, we want to see them expanded, and we want to see our wildlife, and particularly our coastal wildlife corridors, expanded so that our globally significant wildlife can be given a lifeline, it can be given a chance of survival. The really massive old blackbutts here with huge tree hollows, surely centuries old, and home for possums and gliders and owls and all sorts of other beautiful creatures. Arrived at the Jetty Parklands, and we're in a patch of littoral rainforest, which is a critically endangered ecological community, which basically means that a huge amount of it has been cleared for coastal sprawl and for sand mining, and there are precious remnants of it scattered up and down our coastline. And this area has been lovingly tended and rehabilitated and restored by the Jetty Dune Care Group, the incredible efforts of the Jetty Dune Care Group, over a good few decades. And areas that were previously wind-blown sand dune are now healthy, thriving littoral rainforest. And within this area there are various threatened species. It's an area that's building up incredible stores of carbon, and it's providing an incredibly important part of the coastal corridor. And along the Coffs Coast, it's close to its narrowest, the coastal corridor along this part of the Jetty Parklands. And what we need to do more than anything is to expand our coastal corridor so that our globally significant wildlife can be maintained and enhanced over time. This area is incredibly valuable to people for recreation as well as its wildlife, and we really want to see it protected and expanded over time. Littoral rainforests are dominated by a number of key species, and one of the most common is this plant, the tuckaroo, which is a relative of tamarins and that type of stuff. Another in that family, the Sapindaceae family. And this one here is one of our native laurels, the three-vein laurel. And it's called the three-vein laurel because it's got these three prominent veins down the leaf. And when it comes into fruit every few years, it's got a black, very fleshy and oily fruit, and it provides incredibly valuable food to things like fruit doves and various honey eaters, top-knot pigeons, and a whole lot of our fruit-eating birds. So there's a three-vein laurel above us here that's about 10 or 15 metres high, and you can just see how thick its canopy is and how much shelter and shade it provides to these dune systems. It's the beautiful littoral rainforest down here at the Jetty Parklands are these incredible dune swale wetlands. And during summer, these areas are an absolute cacophony of frog calls. And there are 10 or 12 frog species that breed within these wetlands. We've had an absolute record wet year. And I guess we're about a week or less outside of winter. So at the moment they're very quiet. But particularly through summer, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of tadpoles exist within these wetlands. And we've seen in this last really wet year that these wetlands have provided an incredible source of frogs that have then dispersed out from these wetlands and have hopefully built up frog populations. There's a whole host of other creatures that live down here, such as swamp wallabies and bandicoots, and they use these wetlands as a drinking water supply, and they occupy these areas of native vegetation down here where Literally tens of thousands of people each year come down here and use the area for recreation, and nestled right amidst this area are these incredible habitats, these really rich and diverse native habitats. And we want to see them expanded because that's what our wildlife needs. They need more bushland, not less. And sadly, currently, the New South Wales government is seeking to clear areas down here and to develop big accommodation blocks. And we're fiercely opposed to that because that's going to cut off chances of expanding the wildlife corridors that exist down here. Within the Jetty Parklands are these endangered silver bushes, or Sephora, coastal Sephora, Sephora tomentosa. And tomentose means hairy, and the leaves of this plant are hairy. And during the warmer months, they've got these sprays of flowers that then create these pods, these necklace type pods, and the seeds wash down into the sea and they're dispersed on the marine waters. And there's a good population of this endangered plant down here through the Jetty Parklands. And we want to see more of them because we need to take species off the endangered species list, not further endanger them. So we love the silver bush. The land behind this fence is public land, and sadly the New South Wales government is trying to steal this land from the people of Coffs Harbour and to develop 6-storey blocks for accommodation. Now this area has incredible potential for knocking down the fences, landscaping it to make more parkland for our growing population and for expanding the coastal corridor. And rather than allowing the New South Wales government to steal the commons from the people of New South Wales, we need to recognise and to celebrate this public land and to make the best use of it for the future, which is for public recreation and the conservation and enhancement of our globally significant biodiversity. We'd really like to celebrate that this is all Gumbaynggirr country. And out here is Corumburra Point, a very sacred site, and Yidane Mirlal, otherwise known as Muttonbird Island, which is the moon place, an incredibly sacred site, the historic jetty, and the dune system here that we've been talking about in the Jetty Parklands. These are truly special assets, truly remarkable places that are so important for the health and the well-being of the people of Coffs and the broader Coffs Coast. We've really enjoyed telling the story of our parklands today, our Jetty Parklands, and to put forward a vision for the future of our parklands, that we might maintain and restore and expand these incredibly vital living areas. Thank you for joining us on our latest Bellingen Nature Films adventure. Please subscribe to our channel, please like our videos, and we look forward to joining you shortly on another exciting adventure.